Happy Monday to you, man. Listen, I thought over the weekend maybe I had hijacked your X account.
Really?
Right? Yeah. Because typically this is the stuff I post so that you don't have to, so that you can continue to be liked and to be above reproach, and so I can absorb all the heat and be the bad guy. Plus, I kind of enjoy it, if we're being honest. Yeah. Okay, so it's not like you had to it's not like I had to be dragged into this. Okay, but it kind of threw me for a loop when I log on to X, and I'm like, whoa, Chuckwagon catching strays on X. Our senator here from my good buddy Bob Vanderplots. So. I know you are quite fond on a personal level of the Chuckwagon and have known him for many, many years. Listen, listen, in all seriousness, okay, Iowans love Chuck Grassley, and he loves Iowans, and that's why he's been elected here almost as long as I have been alive. That's a problem, but we'll discuss that another day, okay? But so I know that this had to be something unique in this situation for you to fire a shot across his bow. So what was it?
Well, first of all, you're right. I have a great deal of regard for Senator Grassley. He is one who hasn't gone Washington on us. He has stayed rooted in Iowa, comes home every weekend. He's somebody that I endorsed in the primary. And so, Steve, I think this goes back a long ways. As a matter of fact, you're a part of this. When people said, you can't oust 3 Supreme Court justices. Remember those days?
I do, yeah.
You can't.
That's just tradition. It's decorum. It's the way we do things. We have to just honor it. Yeah.
And you'll never, ever beat them, right? Mm-hmm. But the thing is, they went outside their constitutional parameters. They basically legislated or imposed same-sex marriage on the state of Iowa without it going through the legislative branch, without going through the executive branch. And we said, you can't do that. So the people are in charge. It's not the courts that are in charge. And so we levied this campaign to oust 3 Supreme Court justices. And even on the night of the election, I had the New York Times and others who were covering it. They're in Des Moines saying, hey, listen, you ran a great campaign, but all of our polling says they're still going to be retained. Mm-hmm. And then that night, we ousted them like between 8 and 10 points, every one of them.
He actually won by a bigger margin than the Republican governor nominee did.
And it made, obviously, national news all over the place. It was on the front page of the Des Moines Register for 2 weeks afterwards, but was sent a message. And so part of the reason I put out that tweet is I know Senator Grassley's been there for a long time. And I'm not against him being there for a long time. I believe in term limits, but he's there.
A very, 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 very long time.
But he's represented us well, and he's very accessible. I mean, if you call him, he's calling you back, okay? Mm-hmm. If you're texting him, he'll text you back. Sometimes you got to decipher the text, but he'll text you back. But here's a deal where I really could sense the frustration of President Trump. Listen, these guys elected me so I could put the people in who I want to be confirmed for U.S. attorney, for justices to fill the bench. And now I've got this arcane rule or this law that's institutionalized saying, you know what, but you can't do this. This can be blocked by you. And that's why I thought, you know what, it's a little bit like with the justices. Yeah, you're not supposed to touch them. You're not supposed to launch a campaign against them and all that stuff. But throw caution in the wind. Let's go after them anyhow. This is one of those deals where I totally agree with President Trump. Whatever this blue slip rule is, when's the last time you guys debated and negotiated the blue slip?
I got to tell you, I've been doing this for 20 years. And I've never done a single show on the blue slip rule.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so here's another reason why we can't confirm justices and U.S. attorneys that Trump has appointed. Mm-hmm. And that's why I thought, I saw Trump's frustration in his post. And I thought, listen, I'm in Iowa. I agree with him. I'm going to put my frustration out there in my tweet and see where it lands. And I got to tell you, Steve, to Senator Grassley's credit, he saw my tweet, and he called me up on Friday. And he and I had a really, really good conversation, probably a 20-minute conversation. And he reminded me of all the good he's done, how he prevented Obama from appointing a Supreme Court justice.
He didn't go Joe Biden and just start screaming, how can you have your pudding if you don't eat your meat? No, he knew the details.
He denied that. And so therefore, Trump got 3 Supreme Court justices, which led to the overturn of Roe v. Wade.
Now, real quick, for people that wonder why Grassley's at the focal point of this, because he's the head of the Judiciary Committee, that's why.
Exactly. Yeah. And so then he got Pam Bondi through, he got Kash Patel through, he got Trump's personal...
Yeah, we're not actually sure that we should be bragging about those, but keep going. Okay.
He got Trump's personal attorney through. I mean, so he's done yeoman's work. I think he also prevented some bad justices from Biden getting through as well. And so he's kind of like, dude, I have produced a lot for you. And I shared him, said, listen, I don't understand this whole blue slip thing, but maybe you and President Trump need to get in a room and decide how do you get around it that would satisfy your institutional loyalty, which he has a lot of, but also where the people are at, where we're just kind of frustrated where things have to be the way they have to be, get these people confirmed.
So here's the thing about this. This is a different. These two guys have different perspectives, and the perspective that Charles Grassley has is he has the perspective, in my view, of the gatekeeper of an institution. Okay, and that he is trying to preserve an institution from being swallowed whole by radicals, most of them on the other side. Okay, and he thinks the best way to do that is to use the levers of power within that institution to both handcuff the radicals on their side, but that also therefore would create a process by which he would then hamper the speed by which our own side could work, and then brand this as some form of Senate collegiality or Senate tradition or Senate decorum. Okay, the other guy, he got shot in the face. And the bullet said on it, Senate decorum, Senate tradition, blue slip. Ain't no fun when the rabbit's got the gun. We have to manage the institutions. We have to preserve, the traditions of how we do things around here. The bullet had all those things because the spirit of the age, where all those sayings come from, was who fired off that blast. All right. The other guy, okay, they tried to put him in prison for 95 years, and he's 78. Okay, over whether or not he issued a hush money payment to a porn star over 20 years ago, okay, from a bunch of politicians who, frankly, are just walking honeypot grifts. Okay, so the other guy's perspective is a tad different, and he's like, I'm going to be a lame duck the first Wednesday in November. All right, if you all do not do your jobs and get as many of these things approved as possible so we can actually implement our agenda. Because now that we're past the executive order phase, now that we're past the big, beautiful bill phase, there are still things Congress can do. We have still been fighting some things out in Congress, but we're by and large now in the judicial insurrection lawfare phase of this now. And we got to start stacking the deck with his people. Otherwise, much of the stuff that was done over the last 6 months will just get completely annihilated inside the court system, as we've already seen for the first 6 months.
Yeah. So Trump understands, and Trump knew this right away. Matter of fact, when I talked to him, he said, the first 100 days, which we're past the first 100 days now, we need to move, and we need to move quick because, as you just said, time is not on our side here. Because you got the midterms coming. If we're not successful in the midterms, they're going to try to, make me a lame duck president type. So we need to get all this through. That being said, they both have something in common, Grassley and Trump. Grassley was kind of Doge before Doge was cool. He was the whistleblower on what are we doing with these expenses in the military? What are we doing for these? He was trying to call it out. What he was trying to do is protect the integrity of the institution. And all of us, you need to have institutions with integrity in order to execute things. Trump, on the other hand, he's been a disruptor to the institutions, but he's also been, and we've talked about this since he's got elected in 2016, he's been an exposer of the institutions. I'm exposing them. And now he's basically exposing this blue slip thing, which I got to believe if you polled the average American, less than have any idea what a blue slip is and how it works.
See, few people know this, okay? But the American Revolution was actually going to start a couple years earlier than it did, and then the Sons of Liberty were gathered at a Boston pub, and one of them was reminded that they had to honor the blue slip tradition with King George III. They had to make sure they went through and all of those various codicils and subsections and headers all had to be honored. And so they went ahead and decided to put up with tyranny for a couple more years afterwards just to make sure that all decorum and tradition among Englishmen was fulfilled.
Is that really how it went down?
Few people know this. Few people know this. Yeah.
But the other thing, I mean, I'm going to go back to Senator Grassley for just a second and have his back a little bit. When President Trump said, listen, I had to encourage Senator Grassley to run again, that is true. Because when Senator Grassley ran again, he was 87 years old, and he was really questioning, should I run again? And President Trump said, we need to keep that seat. We need to have control of the Senate. You're the one to win it. And plus, you are not a Joe Biden 87. You're a Chuck Grassley 87. And I'm telling you, the guy's 91 right now. He's still exceptionally sharp. But then Trump said, and when he was down a lot in the polls, I came to save him to be U.S. Senate. Senator Grassley did remind me, and I chuckle at this, but it's also true. He has not been down in the polls since 1980. There's a lot of your listeners who weren't even born in 1980.
I think it ought to be in the Constitution. If you have not been down in a poll since before most of your voters were born, then you have served your tour of duty, and it is time to move on.
I think, Steve, this goes a step further. I think it's a deal about how do you win the midterms. I don't believe you're going to win the midterms by saying, listen, we're going to hold up all these appointments because we got this blue thing that nobody knows about, that nobody can understand, nobody can articulate, but all of a sudden, because you in the privileged Senate know about it, that's how you lose a Senate midterm. I believe you need to find a way to work around it, protect the integrity of the institution. I fully support it, fully get it, but give Trump his confirmations on the attorneys and the U.S. and the justices.